Hi, I'm Lou Rosalia, and this is Crew Call. Do you have your job because of your personality, or is your personality because of your job? And Squid Game. One of those are our two topics today on Crew Call. Let's introduce our panel. This week we have a brand new panel. Everybody, no, I'm just kidding. I got my great old friends back, Mr. Joe Scacciaferro, Scott Glazzi, and Frank Scacciaferro. Thanks, guys. All media and entertainment professionals, top line. And I'm happy to be with you guys. Welcome.
Happy to be with you, Lou.
What's going on, man?
So here's the whole thing. I introduced this about personality and jobs. I read a really interesting article. It had two studies. They always have two studies or more, and of course those studies contradict each other. One of the studies said that people choose their career path based on their personality. The other one said that because of people's career paths, they develop their personality. Hence the question, are you in a job because of your personality, or is the job you're in giving you your personality? Now, Joe, do you find it true that people working in specific jobs have certain types of personalities for those careers? Yes or no? And then expand on it.
Oh, okay. I was going to do the.
I know.
I was going to do the Carl Banks. Yes.
Yes.
And those of you who don't know Carl Banks or haven't worked with him, that's what you'll get sometimes.
Yep. Yep.
So the answer, yes, absolutely believe that's true. And it's hard for me to say whether or not one developed the other or the other developed that.
Right.
But for the most part, absolutely 100%. I'll give you two examples. In the music industry, I can walk into a studio and within 5 minutes, without really having much conversation, just an observation, I can tell you who the engineer is, who the producer is, who the music is. I can not only get you to the musicians, I can tell you who the drummer is, who the guitar player is, who the lead singer is, who the writer is, who the keyboard player is. There's defined personalities.
All right. Hang on. We got to go into this. I can't let you stop. Is it a look or is it a vibe? What's?
It's personality. It's who they are. It's their swagger. It's the way they speak. It's the way they carry themselves. Their followers, their leaders.
Right.
It's all of those things. And yes, a look definitely has it. Lead singers look very different than a drummer. There's no question about it. Move into television.
Yeah.
Same is true. These guys will attest to. You can walk into a crew meeting, a pre-production meeting, and go audio guy, camera guy, utility guy. I mean, you could just identify him immediately. Oh, executive producer, that's a producer, he's a director, before really anybody opens their mouth.
That's fantastic.
And I'm sure they're all nodding, so it's absolutely true.
That's fantastic. Were you going to? I cut you off. I'm sorry. Did I?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely. That's it. I'm done.
Frank, would you say personality guided you to your career? Your current career?
I don't know. I don't know which was which because I was in it. I was exposed to it at such a young age, so I don't know if the career or that environment molded my personality or if my personality was already going to be that anyway. But I will say you definitely have to succeed in the business and get to a certain level. I feel like you have to have a certain type of personality, at least to work in as like a freelancer that travels and does that kind of stuff, and you're working with smaller crews to accomplish something like that. You definitely have to have everyone has to have a similar personality to an extent of that like team mentality and kind of guerrilla production type of thing, where everyone's kind of helping everybody, but can also, joke around but still get the job done.
Right.
But yeah, and you also would gravitate more towards the people that have a similar personality towards you anyway in the crew.
I have a side question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think the robotics part and specialty camera op requires more patience than kind of handheld? You've done both.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because there's a lot more that can go wrong, and there's a lot more, I guess, like places of connectivity. I just had it the other day with Rick Cypher. We were setting up for the Rangers Robo thing, and there was one of their first preseason games. and there was just there's so many different things and connections and things that could possibly either go wrong or have an issue with.
Right.
And then you just have to methodically go down the line and check all those things. So him and I mean, we were like an hour and a half before the game started,
Wow.
which seems like a long time, but it's not when something's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just have to kind of like take a breath, not freak out, know that you're going to have confidence that you're going to get it done, which both of us do have that confidence, especially together, and then just kind of methodically go down and figure out where the issue is.
Yeah. It seems like there's an extra layer of stuff to deal with, like you said.
Yeah.
Gloss, what side of the discussion do you fall on, buddy? Do you think personality drives people to a job, or do the similar people work and develop personalities through their job? What are you thinking?
I think a little bit of both. So it's kind of a tough question for me because Frank and I are so different in this aspect. Because Frank has been doing this since he was literally a little kid, and I came in very late in my life, not really knowing what I wanted to do after college.
Right.
But in that sense, I came in because of Frank. So I already met him, already became friends with him, and we already shared similar personality traits. And he kind of saw that and identified that. And he's like, you know, he came to me, he's like, I think you'd be really good at this. I think you fit in here well. So talking about fitting in, you know, that's a personality thing. You fit in with the people who you're similar to, and you fit in with the people who you would work well with. So I say yes and no. I also know a lot of my friends who, one of my friends is a state trooper. His personality is perfect for that. You know, he grew up with that. His father was a cop, you know, and he grew up with those personality traits. So his personality fit, you know, suited his career choice almost to a T. So yeah, I'll say yes and no, but you have to have a personality, and I always say this, that is likable to work with other people, especially in our industry, because a crew is a crew. You're a team, like Joe said and like Frank said. You know, every gig you're on, you can identify who does what, but at the end of the day, they all have to work well and mesh together, and you know, hopefully their personalities don't battle each other too hard, because like we talked about ego in the past, that certainly plays a factor. But yeah, I say both. I could argue both sides of that.
Kind of that whole nature over nurture thing, or chicken or the egg, whatever.
Yeah. Joe,
you wanna use.
Joe, Frank said, to Glaz's point, Frank said he identified some things he noticed in Glaz, said you'd be good at this, and you know, you might want to try this career out. What do you think? Because you've hired a bunch of people that have gone on to great success. When hiring people, is it experience, ability, or personality? What is there a preference or choice? Are you looking for one thing, a group of things?
I mean, I live by certain mottos and codes, and hiring is something I've evolved a really solid way. Is I hire personality first,
Interesting.
because I can teach skills and aptitude. I can't teach personality. So if you don't have a good work ethic, or if, as you know, as Glaz has said many times, if you can't get along with people, if you don't have a social consciousness about what we do, I'm at a loss. I can't retrain you how to be that person. So I always go, personality is probably 60, 70% of what I look for. And the other stuff is I can train, or somebody on the crew can train, or you can learn somehow.
So let's
real quick, Lou, to use a metaphor for any of the like sports fans out there, or anybody who's been on the team or anything like that. Yeah, big sports fan. Like they'll always say, like, coaches, if they're trying to recruit somebody like in high school or trying to get them to play, like, you can't teach size, right? Like, so if you have, you know, if there's somebody who's obviously just naturally tall, that's not something you can teach. But if they're a little bit athletic, you can teach them a game, or you can teach them to play a certain position, but you can't teach the size. So it's kind of similar to what Joe is saying of not teaching a personality, but you can work with that and then teach the skills on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lou, I didn't want to mow any further because I know your sports, you're overloaded with following sports.
Big game last night. Big game. Did you see those neon uniforms of Seattle?
They're nice.
It's like
they're undefeated in those uniforms.
Seriously, they have to be.
Yeah.
You can't even play the game. They're so damn distracting. It was like the whole game. I'm like this. That's a horrible color. Sorry.
You didn't watch a whole game of football in your life.
I did. I have company, and I had to watch the game. It's better than that thing where they
Had to
show the
watch it.
last play. What is that called? The red zone.
That's the best.
That thing made me crazy. They watched that last year here, and it was like,
Yeah.
"What? This isn't even a game. It's like touchdown, fumble, touchdown." I'm like, "This is
That's for
enjoying."
all the AD. That's for all the ADD people.
Yeah, it
that
must
watch
be.
Football.
It's also for all the betting people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Red Zone was created to support betting.
Yeah, I would say probably more. So
Okay,
than
I'm
that.
sorry. I digress because the sports took me over. So what are we talking about? Personality?
Okay,
Really?
the only
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to punctuate, because Frank brought up a great sports analogy.
Yes.
Because all of us, we've grown up in sports and we've covered sports, intensely for a long period of time. One of the things I hear coaches say all the time is when they're in the draft, they're drafting the best athlete. They may need a particular position, but a lot of times they'll draft the best athlete. That's kind of the direction I take when I'm drafting the best personality. It's the all-round scope of something, and the nuances of the position can be taught and developed. Okay, go ahead. Glaz's turn.
No, I'm going to Frank.
Oh, Glaz, damn.
What happened?
Go ahead.
I agree with everything you just said, Joe. You're 100% right.
Excellent.
100%.
So, Frank, with personality comes the other sides of things which Joe just spoke about. You can teach them temperament, you can teach them the different skills and all that other stuff. Who do you prefer working for? Somebody who is really highly skilled but is such a dominant, take charge, really, on your case type of person or manager or leader or partner or teammate, or an easygoing, calm personality with moderate skills? What's an easier person to work with for you?
I mean, definitely easygoing and moderate, but also to the other point, like they need to have that take charge thing anyway. If they're in that position, you know what I mean? You still need to have some leadership, but also like that leadership needs to recognize your skill set and the crew's skill set to back off and kind of let, like you're there for a reason, hopefully.
Right.
So like you're there because you know what you do or you know what needs to be accomplished, and they should have the confidence in you to get it done. But also in the same fact, like I've also had people who weren't really great leaders, and it was kind of things are very scattered and not really understanding what the goal is for that specific day or something like that. So it's definitely the more easygoing thing, but somebody that also needs to be assertive and knows exactly what they want.
Yeah, because we've all experienced seagull leadership, correct? Type of leader that flies in, craps all over the place, and then leaves.
Yes.
That is a definite corporate pull. Good job, Lou.
There you go. You're boom.
Great
There you go.
analogy.
I like that.
Yeah.
The single personality trait that you think someone should either possess or develop to make it in the entertainment business overall, what do you think that would be if they had to get one thing?
Yeah, it's probably like versatility, I guess. Being able to be very good at one thing and understanding your assignment, but then also being able to kind of change on the fly because things often go wrong in our world, as all of you guys know. And the ability to kind of, if something goes catastrophically wrong, say on a set or something, the ability to kind of drop what you're doing, what your main objective is, and help it to support the rest of the crew and fixing a problem, that goes a long way. And Joe actually taught me that, early on in my career. He's like, be good at what you want to do, but also, be able to be in a position to support the guys that you work with on your crew in other ways. So yeah, I'd say not alone versatility, but versatility is a huge personality trait that, and that comes with learning, and adapting and being able to go to work every day and wanting to learn new skills, So yeah, versatility is definitely a big one.
Thank you all for that. I learned a lot, especially about sports and undefeated in that uniform. That was big. I gotta start betting now.
Lou's going to go
thanks
buy
for
a
the-
uniform
thanks
tomorrow,
for
one of the
the Eagle.
neon green ones.
Thanks for the seagull term.
There you go. You go. So speaking of seagulls, let's stick with the ocean. Let's talk Squid Game. Squid Game, #1 in 90 countries on Netflix right now. And the story behind that is the creator, Hwang Dong-hyuk, I believe it said Korean guy, wrote the show in 2009, and he was rejected by the studios for 10 years in a row, kind of like Rocky was way back when for the other generations. He actually once had to stop writing the script because he had to sell his laptop so he couldn't type because he was that broke. But anyway, that's a story that seems to be repetitive in this industry. Joe, I've heard you tell me different versions of this story over and over again. Why do you think that Huang's story is such a common journey for people?
It comes down to recognizing the industry we're in is business. It's the entertainment business. It's the music business. So the creatives have vision. The creatives have, we have a bigger scope. We don't think the same way. You have this great idea and you see it and you know you can do it and you know it's going to be cool. But you then have to present that to somebody who's in the business. And they're looking at it from a market standpoint. What does the market do right now? Can I sell this right now? Is this going to be a hard sell? Is anybody ready for this? And 90% of the time, which is what people tell me all the time, I don't understand. There's 5,000 stations and streaming and all this other stuff, and there's nothing to watch. Well, that's because everybody clones whatever's selling. And the same thing in music. Why, with all the abilities to do music, does it all sound similar? Because same reason. They sell what they know they can sell. So you have to understand that there's a balance. So if you're going to write music, you're going to have to write some pop. Billy Joel's a perfect example of that. He knew how to write pop music, but he's an incredible musician, on the classical side. And everybody who's successful, you get a Spielberg who understood, how to do whatever.
Jaws.
I'm trying to think of some of his commercial stuff. But that's the same. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Is you have to understand that it may take 10 years for your vision to catch up to the marketplace.
That's really interesting because in business and art, there are two different metrics to say, pull the plug on this. Frank, in business, the numbers speak. Can I get this sold? Can I get it done? Yes, no. I don't care about it. It's a commodity. If you were really passionate about a project, how far would you go and what sacrifices would you make to get the thing complete, number one, and then sold?
I think it's been proven internally with us. Just building this company, FerroCity, for, I don't know, almost 10 years, more than that, maybe.
Try 15.
Yeah, 15. Yeah, you go back even further, obviously, but it wasn't even called FerroCity at that point. But of just not, building something from scratch and going to, like, we used to have meetings weekly. We still do, but we used to have them in person and go and, put your time and effort into something that, you're not necessarily seeing a return from something right away, or not a physical, tangible thing that you can measure of success. It's just kind of believing in something that eventually will, get to the point where it's something real that you can actually see and touch and feel and have, which is the point that we're at now. Which the payoff of that and seeing something that you created and you look back for where it started, of drawings on a piece of paper or a whiteboard in a building that burned down. Just going through that alone. That sacrifice of, putting that whole entire place together and then it burning down. All of us could have very well just said, all right, that's kind of a sign. I guess we're done.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So the amount of time that's been put into this, and with a small guerrilla crew, like I said before, it's that same personality that we just talked about earlier. It's.
That's great. That would be a hell of a show, right? Just to sit down one day and just recap all the crazies, because we forgot half of the ridiculous stuff, from a tornado hitting my house to people getting COVID twice, and it's just, the whole thing is just nuts. But anyway, that's for another story. Scott, I want to talk to you about urban visuals a little bit and the path people take. The young creators come into this industry, as you have, and they got a great idea. I want to do something with this. They try to get it done. After a few times, they're like, I'm going to do this. And then they just said, that's it. I had enough. And they let it go. So opposite of what Frank just described to us, what advice would you have for people about that process or about the decision to keep going or not based on your experiences and what you've built?
Yeah, it actually just happened recently with me. So a potential client of mine came to me with an idea. They wanted to do a show. It was with the MLB, so it was a big vision. They're like, we want to do this. I'm doing on-air stuff, radio stuff. I want to be more on camera and push myself into that world. So I supported him throughout the process, and it didn't work out in the end. So I guess the best advice I can give to you is you got to be ready to fail, especially when you're going out and like these guys are saying, like, you see your vision. And think about Joe, like doing 15 years of hard work, and finally now it's coming to fruition after all this time. You got to be able to fail, and you have to be able to fail fast, I guess I could say. So if you are failing, don't take that as I am a failure. Take that as, how do I adapt to this failure and put this failure in the past as quickly as I can to move on to my next success. So that's, I guess that would be my main piece of advice is, if you number one, be ready to fail because it's going to happen a lot. And number two, be ready to either pivot or take your failure and analyze it and be able to move past that quickly and put it in the past, because a failure isn't a failure unless you allow it to be. A failure is just a learning opportunity. It's a learning opportunity on how to move on to the next thing. So you have to be, like I said before, versatile, and you have to be able to adapt and move forward past your failures. So that would be my biggest part of advice. Biggest piece of advice, I'm sorry. But yeah, just be ready to adapt and keep rolling with the punches, as they say.
We are getting sage advice today from all of you. You guys are killing it. You're killing it. Joe, you've been in the same position over the years many times. We just described one of them as Huang has with the squid. I forgot what was the second. Squid Talk? Squid
Game.
Squid Game.
This week on Squid Talk.
It's Squid Talk. Welcome to Squid Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Squid Game. I want to talk technology for a second. You've done it the hard analog way, and now we're in a very much digital world, but not only digital, it's shrunk into home size and it's shrunk into very low cost. Do you think getting projects out there is easier or harder today for people?
Okay, let me go back so I can punch this in later on. Schindler's List and Jaws.
Okay.
I'm going back to
I know. Spielberg, go ahead.
Spielberg.
Seagull.
Schindler's List and Jaws. Jaws is pop. Schindler's List is vision. It's an impressionable moment. Okay, I'm done. Hey, Glaz, don't say failure. Say misses.
Okay.
No, you can't say misses anymore.
Misses.
Stop. We'll never go into those areas.
Go.
So yeah, when you were talking about technology,
Yeah.
there's a difference. Yes, technology allows you to create stuff on your own, which is beautiful, and it allows more people to do more things. But the bigger shift in technology that is changing the future of our industry is distribution. Because via social media and your ability to touch your audience directly is a game changer. Having come up where I had to go through gatekeepers to get anything out the door. And for a lot of reasons, those gatekeepers, they might not, just don't like you. Or here's a big one that most people don't recognize. Bands got signed in those days to keep you off the market. So if a record label had some hot punk band, they only needed one. So they would keep signing other punk bands, but never really marketing them and never really releasing them, but they held them on the shelf so that they didn't compete with their one band that they had dropped millions behind. That became, it's the same in everything. I've sold pilots that never made air, but a similar pilot was on the air.
Yeah.
So now you have the ability to go straight out to your marketplace. Ferro TV, our programming, this show would have never made air. Like if you try to think about what network would have aired this, nobody. But it's a strong show. It has an audience. It does well. But we can touch our audience directly via our social media, via our streaming. And that's apparently, that's YouTube, that's all these things that my generation go, celebrity, they're an influencer. Well, they don't do anything. Hell, they do. They have $1 million. They have tons of audience. They have people who are listening. Whether we think what they're saying is of any value, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They've created a market. And Lou, you come from the world of market.
Yep.
Who cares how you get there?
Yep. Yep. And I
I
think
mean, outside of sports, like sports programming now, I would say the majority of things that I do aren't for network broadcasts. Everything's either streaming on some type of platform. And it's
Right.
like you get, I mean, all those shows that Jamie's directing, all of them are streaming.
Right.
Everything.
Yep. And they're not, in a development stage, and I just had this conversation with a new grad. You still need lighting, sound, cameras, directors. You still need all the frontline elements that all of us do.
Yeah.
It's the distribution that has changed.
Right.
Because now, if you're a Lou and you hire us to build a show because you want to sell it, because you have a market for it, you don't have to worry about going through another network. Lou can build his own Lou streaming channel, and boom, it's out there. Your YouTube channel, your Instagram channel, all the marketing and social, that you do for us and are in command of, that's what makes it work. And we can do that in a closed architectural business plan environment.
And by the way, I'm going to disagree with you about a network that no network would pick this up. I happen to know somebody at the Staten Island Community Access 111B. It's free from 3:30 to 3:45 a.m.
I stand corrected. There is a home.
There is
We
a
do have a home.
For all our Staten Island overnighters.
Exactly.
We'd have to change our dialogue a little bit to relate more to the Staten. Yo, what's up? So Frank, here's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to do this because we're going to do it,
Yo.
and that's the end of that.
Yo.
Word.
Can you curse on that network, Lou?
Okay, no. Of course not. You can, because they all sound like they're cursing constantly, and they're not. They're actually reading Shakespeare.
Don't worry.
Italians?
When we post it, I will have beeped that out.
Talking about Italians or you're talking about Staten Island?
No. Just Staten Island Italians.
Okay.
Specific.
So Italians.
Specific.
A whole breed of Italian.
That's a region. That's a region in Italy.
Frank, I want to ask you something about passion and projects, and I spoke about expenses and things getting cheaper. And Joe brought to the table the fact that it's cheaper doesn't mean that you know how to use it properly, or you've got the talent to make it come true in terms of making it as good as it can be. So you know how much pro gear is, you know how much pro talent is. Have you ever found a project that you believed in somebody or something so much that you did it pro bono for free, just to get it out there and get them that lift up?
Yes. Not in probably the sense that the way that you're asking, but one of the biggest ones that I did and used all of our own gear, and did it very professionally, was, and then it actually, with Gloss and I, it eventually turned into stuff that we did we used that and could do projects to get paid for. So it was, and it just accidentally happened like that. I did my buddy was proposing to his girlfriend down in Wildwood. This goes maybe 7 years ago.
Wildwood, New Jersey.
Wildwood, New Jersey, down by the beach, where they met and blah, blah, blah. So I spoke with him, we had a pre-production meeting like this with him and one of her good friends who was going to be there, and set up this whole, from conceptualizing an idea of how to get it done, where he wanted people and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And then, I mic'd him up with a lav under his suit, so you couldn't see it. And I brought one of our JVC pro cameras, full broadcast camera, with me, and I shot as if I was shooting for, any other type of network ENG shoot. I did it, and then Gloss and I cut it afterwards, and so that whole project, and also brought it to the wedding and rented a projector or a projector screen, and I played it before they walked out.
And they've never seen it. This was their first
They
time.
hadn't seen it. Nobody had seen it. I played it before they walked out at the reception.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I was basically working at their wedding. I was also in the wedding, which was just all funny anyway.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, that was just like he asked me if I could just shoot it, and then I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it correctly.
Right.
I'm not gonna just like, stand next to you, like shoot it from afar or like something like that. And then it turned into like we also did it for my sister and my brother-in-law. Like we had a full crew on that one.
Wow.
Which was I was flying a drone, Claus was shooting video, and I had our good friend Dan, who's a NFL photographer, probably one of the best in the business, happened to also live in Hoboken at the time. So all three of us were there. I mean, we've like pretty high professionals
Yeah.
in our career covering an engagement for no reason really, other than just because it's fun to do, and we enjoy who we were doing it for. And then it turned into Claus and I doing it, other people reaching out to us, and then we're like, all right, this could be an actual, little niche business here.
And I want to spend a minute and give props to all Sketcher Ferro events because they are covered, filmed, and documented beyond belief. Let's not forget your dad's wedding, which was ridiculous in terms of coverage.
That took like a full week to set up.
To build it.
To build it.
That's what I mean. I don't mean set the wedding. I mean build an actual reception room.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's another
lights and
story.
everything.
That's another great story. He built this whole village. It was a street fair. It was sick. Anyway, back to pro bono work. Glaz, Urban Visuals, Frank mentioned that the story he just told obviously was started out as a pro bono project. Do you still do anything? How do you choose? Is it still an active strategy for you guys?
Not really anymore. I think it was at the beginning of my career when I first started because I was still trying to get our name out there. I was like, hey, let me shoot this for you. If you like what we shoot, then then you maybe pay us for the next one. That was kind of how I worked. And after a while, you got to realize, you got to identify your value, and you can't just continue to do free work. But there are times now where if I know that it will lead to something larger that can turn into like a monthly project or like a quarterly reoccurring paycheck, then yes, I will shoot something for free in order to make that connection and network. If it's a big event where there's going to be other people that I want to connect with, maybe I will go there and shoot or even just show up, and help it any other way I can. But not so much anymore because, it is a business, as Joe identified, and still, you got to get your business paid. But if there's opportunity that I can identify that will help the company, then sure.
Yeah. So wait, Glass, you're telling me you don't do nice charity pro bono work unless there's an end for you?
No, yeah, of course. I mean, you got to look out for yourself, number one, right?
James.
But I'm sorry.
I know that's not true. I know for a fact that that's not true because I know you.
Well, yeah, I'd like to help friends. Well, it's like Frank said, if you have a friend, our friends get lucky, number one, too. All of our friends get like free professional videos whenever they want or ask nicely. But yeah, I mean, pro bono works. You got to know your value, I'd say, I guess, is my end point here.
I don't want people walking away thinking you're heartless because I know you're not.
That's true.
Of course.
So I had to challenge that moment for you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll help out when I can. How about that?
Well, gentlemen, it has been a most enlightening crew call. As usual, we've learned a lot of stuff. You guys have given some wonderful, wonderful advice. We've learned new terminology. I've learned something about sports. And I hear background noise. Do you hear that?
So do I, yeah.
Who? I thought it was my mom. If it is, tell her I am not here. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. Check out FerroCity.com when you have a second. A lot going on. A lot of these stories are there. Some of the fire stories are there. Some video of the place, and some of the sage wisdom is written down in the blog section. Thanks to Joe. So, gentlemen, until next time, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week.
Yeah, we need some
Thanks,
type
Lou.
of like,
See you later.
we need some
I
type of
love
like
you.
sign off tagline.
We do. Here it is.
Nah.
I like that one. Let's go with that.
I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Take care,
Bye.
guys.